Welcome to Inspiring Stories with Hanson Surge. Discover the journeys, challenges and triumphs of some rising professional stars in London and around the world. Looking for some inspiration to revitalise your career? Tune in.
Hi, my name is Alice Weightman, CEO of Hanson Search and The Work Crowd. I'm here today with Hana Tanimura, Senior Designer at Google, Mentor of Google 5 Programme, and winner of Women of Tomorrow Awards 2016. Hi, Hana.
Hi.
Well, it's great to have you here to share some tips on your career and how you've progressed in your career, but also about winning the award of Women of Tomorrow. What does the award mean to you?
It means so many things. Actually, I didn't predict that I would have such an emotional reaction to winning it, but it was more than anything such a sense of validation. You know, I've been working really hard to kind of promote equality in my workplace, but you know, you kind of feel like a lot of the time you're sort of making it up as you go along, and you know, you're not really 100% sure if you're doing things exactly as they should be done, but you kind of follow your gut and you do the best that you can, and then winning something like this is just such a sense of validation and success, and yeah, it's really wonderful.
Great. Well, congratulations on winning it, and certainly, you know, reading your entry, it's amazing what you're doing in terms of encouraging women into the industry and helping and mentoring them. Do you think role modelling is important for women to sort of help them see the type of careers that they can gain within the creative industry?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even just speaking from personal experience, I think if you can't see an example of the thing that you would like to be, it becomes so much more difficult to imagine yourself in that position. So visibility is a huge issue, I think, for women in the creative industry. If you don't see those role models around you, you know, how can you kind of picture yourself in that position if that's what you want?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think what I try to do is be the kind of person that I would have wished to have seen when I was just getting started out. And I look a lot to women who are very senior in my workplace. I'm fortunate to have a lot of amazing women in positions of leadership at work, and sort of try to emulate all the wonderful things that I see them doing and try to be as authentic as I can, and try and see some of the women who are just getting started out for who they are, and recognize the sort of natural character traits that they have and accept them for what they are, and sort of try and help them supplement those characteristics with new behaviours that I think will help them sort of progress in their careers.
And you know, obviously you're helping these younger people get into the industry. What do you think is the sort of the barrier that's preventing as many women coming looking to get into the industry than men?
Well, it's something that we hear a lot of talk about, so I'm hesitant to say it again, but I really do believe that this is one of the most important barriers, and that's just a sense of feeling like you deserve it, feeling like you belong. You know, we talk about imposter syndrome, which is sort of, you know, it is what it sounds like exactly. So being in a room and feeling like at any moment you're going to get caught out for not belonging and not being sort of up to scratch. But the more we talk about it, the better, I think, because then you start to realize that feeling that you've had is a feeling that everybody shares and it's not specific to you. And then you can kind of try and deliberately coach yourself to counter that by imagining that everyone is totally equal, and sort of really trying to believe that for yourself and entering a room with the belief that you belong there. Because I do talk to a lot of young women who are just getting started out, and they just, compared to some of the male candidates that we interview, really, no matter how great and talented they are, tend to not recognize that in themselves or really believe it in themselves. And I think if you don't believe it yourself, nobody else is going to believe it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big barrier.
Good, yeah. I mean, competence does seem to be, it comes up so often, you know, so many times, and how, you know, if businesses, I guess, can recognise that and help people when they're entering to be more confident in the workplace, then I think that will really, really help women progress. Who's been your inspiration? You know, I mean, you obviously are inspiring other women, but who's inspired you in your life?
immediately a few different people come to mind, and they come to mind for a lot of different reasons. So I might give a few examples.
Yeah,
if that's
absolutely,
okay.
that'd be great.
So the first major inspiration is actually my own mother, who raised me and my sister and my brother to just, completely, no question, we're all just as capable as one another. We're all just as worthy and deserving, and all that matters is that you give your best and you're a good person and you work hard, and then the world will be open to you, which is amazing, because I think that's the first step to the belief system that we just talked about, so believing that you can do whatever you want to do. I did find that entering the workforce, that wasn't necessarily as true as I would have hoped for it to be, which was a difficult learning curve. But nonetheless, I think if I didn't have those values growing up, it would have been so much more difficult for me to kind of break through some of those challenges, let's say. And then other role models, there's our operations manager at Google Creative Lab, Claire Donald, who is, I can only describe as just a complete legend in every respect. She's incredibly authentic in the way that she leads. She's behaves the same with me as she does with really junior people, as she does with really senior people. She is who she is. She speaks very honestly. She doesn't kind of couch her words, which I really value. But at the same time, she's very warm and approachable. And I think she presents an amazing and really needed example of a woman leader who is kind and caring, or these qualities that we might associate with womanliness or femininity, but she's also sort of incredibly capable and confident and outspoken, and has a lot of integrity, which are the qualities that you would associate with leadership, I suppose. Good.
And you mentioned the fact that you had some challenges getting into the industry. What type of challenges did you face when you were sort of entering?
It's interesting. I didn't necessarily face challenges when I initially entered the industry. Mm-hmm. It kind of came a few years in, and I think people don't become feminists when they're 12 years old. They sort of become feminists when they start to encounter challenges, let's say. Yes. So for me, it was definitely, that's the way things have worked out. And it was just sort of, it's difficult to say. They're very small, subtle examples of things where you're like, oh, that didn't feel right. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's something not right here. And then you kind of go away and you think about it, and you kind of come back and you're like, you know what, I think I should say something. And it's a series of these small little encounters, these small little experiences that you have where you're like, okay, the curtain's been pulled back, and actually I can see there are problems, and there are sort of mindsets that need to be changed, and there are habits that need to be broken, and new habits that need to be instilled. So it's happened gradually over time.
Yeah. Sounds like you handled it very well, though.
I think I've been very lucky, actually. Yeah. I've been very lucky to have also a lot of male colleagues and male seniors who have done a lot to champion equality in the workplace as well. So that's,
great. Good. So what would your best bit of career advice be for women looking to build a successful career in the creative industry?
I would say it's not enough to work hard. It's not enough to be good at your job, and it's not enough to get better results than everybody else. I think we tend to think, well, it's definitely the way I was brought up anyway. If you do really, really good work, it'll get recognized. Mm. And of course you need to do really good work, that's essential, but it's also really essential to think about your career. So take some of the time away that you would have plowed into doing a great job, and instead use it to think about what it is that you want, how you wish to progress in your career, where do you want to be in 6 months' time, in 1 year's time, and then sort of measure that up against where you are and where you think you need to improve. I think we don't spend enough time considering our career progression. We spend too much time focusing on just delivering great work every day.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think sometimes people are just they're so busy that they don't give themselves time to think, and then they sort of put their head above water a few years later and think, oh my god, what just happened, or am I going in the right direction, or do I have the right skills, have I voiced my opinion, am I on the right package, and all those things that they haven't had time to consider. until it's actually, it's sometimes a little bit too late, or, they're on the back foot and have the wrong type of conversation.
But also things that change all the time, right?
Yes.
So what I might want in 6 months' time right now might feel different in 6 months' time. So I think it's really important to check in regularly and often, because you just need to make sure that you're doing the best thing by you, and you're kind of on the right path by you.
Yes.
Because, you're right. Otherwise you can sort of feel like you're waking up from a dream 5 years later and sort of not really understand how you got to where you were.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. And you obviously love the industry, and you would, you see it as a great environment to be progressing in. Would you recommend more women actually get into the industry?
Oh, absolutely. Couldn't recommend it more highly. I think, we're talking about change. We're talking about sort of change in the workplace and rejigging numbers and whatnot. And I think the industry, well, specifically the industry that I'm in, or the flavor of the industry that I'm in, which is tech, there's so much change happening every day. And I think it's a really exciting place to be. So if you're the kind of person that thrives in an environment where you feel like you're breaking new ground with every new project, and you're kind of really excited by that, then I couldn't recommend it more highly, yeah.
And thinking about the future, I mean, what do you think the future holds for the industry? Do you think we'll be having these conversations in 5-10 years' time?
You know what, I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I think we're experiencing now what the third or fourth wave of feminism, maybe. I'm not really sure which wave it is, but there's a lot of chat going on at the minute. It's really exciting. There's a renewed kind of energy around the subject of gender equality. And I think this is going to kind of push us to a new norm, or I really do hope it does anyway. So I think, we will still be talking about this stuff in 5 years' time, but I think the subject matter will hopefully have less of a sense of urgency to it, and maybe be kind of more specific in the subjects that we talk about, rather than a general sense of we need to redraw the balance.
Yeah. Well, I hope so as well, and I think I support your optimism, or cautious optimism. Well, thank you so much indeed for your time. It's been great hearing about your story and some career advice for individuals. I'm sure that will certainly help people thinking about making a career, but also progressing their career within the industry.
Well, thank you for having me. Thanks.
Thank you.
That was Hana Tanimura in conversation with Alice Weightman for the Inspiring Stories podcast. If you'd like to be on the show, contact us on our website at www.hansonsearch.com. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter for the latest news and stories at Hanson Search.